what's it? Get a one. I remember. Oh, praises. Indeed, indeed. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome. The title of this afternoon's lesson, Dreams for Sale. I got dreams for sale. Who want to buy one? A lot of them are already sold. Dreams for sale. Dreams for sale. All right. So, sometimes you find yourself just looking at the world and, trying to reason and make sense of certain things, right? One of the things that I realized, I even gave it a name, I made an acronym out of it and gave it a name, right? Came up with the acronym RAW, R-A-W. I said, let me call it Project Raw. Somebody do you raw. What did that mean? Do you dirty, man. Just mercilessly, right? They just don't do right by you, right? Project Raw. What does RAW stand for? R-A-W. Reclassify and weaponize. Reclassify and weaponize. So what do I mean by that? What has happened throughout history, especially when it comes to our people and our enemies. Our enemies have utilized this same method, and it has been successful for them up until this day. If we can reclassify, then we can weaponize, right? What do we mean by reclassify? Well, hence, that means to classify again. How do you classify something? How do you classify something? If you have a classification, what does that mean exactly? Like, what's the function of the classification? To categorize? Okay, that's a pretty good one. Make a distinction between evaluate. Can be in a situation where it can be evaluated, but generally the process of classification is taking things and separating them and putting them into different classes, right? For the reasons of what? Order. What else? Different usages. Okay. What else? To reorganize. Okay. Huh? What about this? Does not class, like I'll give you an example. What kind of license do you have? How many of you guys have a Class C license? Okay. Is there anybody up in here that has a different type of license? Most of us don't know anything. We probably don't even realize that we have a Class C license. We just know we have a license, right? Right? You have a Class C license and what else? M and A, right? What's the difference between those classifications? Okay, so the function of it is, okay, you're able to drive a specific type of vehicle in accordance to whatever license that you have, right? You're classified as a truck driver with the class M and A. Okay. With the Class C license, you're not classified as a truck driver. You're classified as a what? We just know about just regular driver, I guess. Somebody get it for me. Somebody probably look at it. Passenger vehicle. Okay. That's a fact. Go ahead, Act. So M is motorcycle. Okay. So you have an M1 and an M2. So you have an M1 or an M2. Okay, M1. So that's what, a specific type of motorcycle. Okay. All right. So reclassification. When we talking about reclassifying what or who, right? Our enemies understood and still understand how important it is to reclassify the Israelites. We were reclassified a long time ago, and it's a continuous process of reclassification, which causes us to do what? Forget our function. That's simple. You forget what your function is. Because guess what? Let me see what resonates, right? How many of you guys ever heard of an American? Probably an American. Okay, American. Everybody, they couldn't believe it. Like, what, American? So, how many of us in here are Americans? Are we? Nationality wise, okay. Okay. So raise your hand if you're not an American then. So okay, so it's only a few hands that went up. If you're not, okay, so it's only a few of you guys that are not American. So the rest of you should raise your hands. Raise your hand if you are an American. Raise your left hand if you're an American. Raise your right hand. Raise your right hand if you're not an American. Okay, watch this. All right. Raise your hand or keep your hand up if you are a Christian. All right. Raise your hand up if you're not a Christian. So, all right, another question. Raise your hand if you're human. Well, raise your hand if you're not human. Some of y'all didn't raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're not human. So watch this. And let's see if you can make sense of this. All right, you listening? Being American is being Christian. And being Christian is having humanity. Who can make sense of that for me? I'm going to say it one more time. Being American is being Christian. And being Christian is having humanity. Who can make sense of that? I did. Technically, word-wise, I created, but the construct of it is something that's understood that I did not create. But I'm just, making it a little lively in the beginning of the class. Anybody want to take a whack at it?
Say it again.
All right. Here goes Shakan. He might want to take a whack at this. Being American is being Christian. And being Christian is having humanity. 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 Why? That ain't a trick word. Go ahead, Aunt. Is that what Christian means to people today? So I'm gonna tell you what this means to most people, right? And the crazy thing about it, I'm gonna tell you what it means to most people, even though they themselves aren't conscious of the fact that they believe that this is what I'm about to say it is, right? That makes sense, a little bit. Being American, being an American is a social construct, whether you believe it or not. And that's the reason why you're so confused. There's a lot of things that have been, a lot of social constructs, ideas, images that have been placed on us. And they've been utilized to cause us to be confused, and then they're weaponized against us, right? So being American, right? What is being an American? Is that all that it is? That's like me saying this, and it's simple. Like, man, that's a dog. If I say that's a dog, for the most part, you're gonna be looking for what? You're gonna look over to think, see that you're gonna find what? A four-leg animal that probably got fur, right? That wags his tail. That's what you're gonna be looking for. Now then, if I say, man, he got that dog in him, huh? So, and that's the crazy thing about the language that we're speaking and how it plays into what I'm talking about. So being an American, one thing that you got to understand is the world has an idea of what an American is. You don't care as much because you live every day here in quote unquote America. Technically, you got North America and South America, and depending on who you're talking to, you got Central America, which they don't like to identify as either North or South at times, right? So now, if you're in Central or South America, are you an American to the majority of the world? Okay. So, what's really being an American? Somebody said. So, watch this. Most of the world will tell you off top, oh, you're an American. They automatically know. They're not saying, oh, you're from below Mexico or Central or South America. They're saying, oh, you're from the United States. You're American. Technically, you go to Canada, they'll say, oh, you're an American. American is different from a Canadian, but Canadians are in America as well because they're on the continent of North America. But everybody knows that an American is somebody that's from the United States of America. Now, there are a lot of things that go along with being an American. There's an idea of what America is to people, right? And there's even a thing that's called the American dream that comes along with that, right? Remember, we talking about dreams today, right? So now what's the American dream? If you look it up, something I found pretty easily, it says the American dream, it says the ideal by which equality of opportunity is available to any American, allowing the highest aspirations and goals to be achieved. So, to the world, and to what they really more so to us, what they tell us is being American is being Christian. And what do I mean by that? Right? When you're a Christian, because it's niggas thugging is Christian, right? It's killers is Christian. The Ku Klux Klan is Christian. T.D. Jakes is Christian. Huh? Diddy Christian? Who else? Christian, right? What does it mean to be Christian? Think about it. What does it mean to be Christian? I'm Christian. Christian. But we also can't forget that being Christian is also having humanity. What did the Edomites come with to the Americas? When they saw Israel over here in the Americas. But what do they sell it to us when they tell us that history? They came to do what? What did they come to do with the natives? They came to do what? Share their resources. There's a word I'm looking for. They came to do what? Help. No, they came to civilize. Not only civilize, there was another one. Civilize is one, but definitely that's a good one. But they came to do what? What you call them? I can't think of them jokers, man. Colonize is a good one too, but that's not what I'm looking for. In the scope of religion, they came to do what? Oh, they came to not baptize. It's another word different than convert. It's another word that I'm looking for. Not reform. They came to. It's a specific word. They came to. And I can't believe I can't think of the name, huh? Nah, I know that's a biblical word that goes well with what we're talking about, but there's a specific word that they came to do with the natives. And you had these Edomites, and they would come with, the father would come to try to, goodness, not convert. I cannot believe that I cannot think of what it is. Most High willing, it'll come back to me later. I can't even think of what it starts with right now. Oh man, it'll come to us. Nah. Literally, they came and they were that was their quest on the religious tip to do this and it means to basically convert over to Christianity. They came to they were converting the natives over to Christianity, their form of Christianity. But I can't think of the word. Nah, none of those words are it. I can't think of the word, but most high willing it'll come. So now here's the thing. Even when you look at the word human, right? If I go and get the dictionary and I look for the word human, there's one particular definition. It says of or characteristic of people's better qualities. So that's what you think about when you think about humanity, right? Oh, that's inhuman. Oh, have some humanity. There's a certain way they want you to behave when they talk about having humanity. That humanity normally is put on the table when, guess what? You have an opportunity, right, to deal with your enemy in a certain manner, right? But they want you to act in a more humane, civilized way. They definitely want you docile. But here's the thing. That's what all this is talking about in terms of classification. They make the classification. They say, look, this is what this is. So to be an American, you have to be this, and you have to act like this, and you have to make these choices, and you have to do these things. You have to observe these traditions. To be a Christian, you have to act like this. You got to make these choices. You got to do these things. To be a human, because we were man for the longest, and that was perfectly fine. Now all of a sudden we are human beings, right? To be human, you have to do this, because that's not a human being. That's not what humans do, right? So let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1. Yeah. It's a word I'm looking for. I cannot believe, because I didn't. is off top? I can't think of it, man. Because I didn't expect to even go into it. It kind of just, you know. First Maccabees chapter 1. Let's start at verse 41. We're going to read 41 through 49. Now watch this. We talked about reclassification, right? Reclassification. This is the history of how our enemies have been successful at reclassifying us, and the purpose of our reclassification. Hopefully you'll understand as we read this. Read.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 41, and it reads, Moreover, King Antiochus wrote...
Hold on. Moreover, King Antiochus. You have to know who this is. A lot of times we read in the Bible, and a lot of us, we don't take the time to say, okay, who is this king? What people is he a part of, or does he descend from, right? Does anybody know who King Antiochus is? First question is, which King Antiochus? Because there were multiple kings that were called Antiochus. So this particular one, I heard Darius who he is. He was known as the fourth, and he surnamed himself Epiphanes, which means what? God manifested, right? So that says something off top. That should give you some insight on his character. What nation was he? He was an Edomite. Which specific family of Esau? Are the Greeks necessarily a family that we can identify now? What biblical? Amalek. Huh? Nah, it wasn't proselyte. It wasn't proselyte. So now, it's important that we know who we're dealing with. We're talking about an Edomite, an Amalekite at that. Powerful Amalekite. Not only does the Bible speak of this man, but there's history on this man and how wicked he was and how much of a tyrant he was to our people, to the Israelites. So now let's read.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
So now, he can't be that bad. He wrote to the people that all should be one people. What does this sound like? Does that sound American? Does that sound Christian? Does that sound like humanity? Does it? A lot of you guys agree. You said it sounds American, it sounds Christian, and it sounds like humanity. How can it sound like all three? Connecting the dots yet. So what are we dealing with here? It's easier to think a certain way when certain things have been constructed. What an American is, what a Christian is, what a human is, those are things that have been constructed. By whom? And what does it mean to be American, Christian, and human? Read it one more time, please. Verse 41.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
Does it sound American? Does it sound Christian? Does it sound human? Read.
And every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Oh, they all agreed on the same thing. That's a good thing, right? They all agree. Everybody agrees that Martin Luther King did the most for black people. Everybody agrees that the new year starts January the 1st. Everybody agrees that December the 25th is Christmas. Everybody agrees. So it's good, right? Huh? No? Why not? Huh? Huh? What's a lie? Everybody agrees. But everybody agrees. How can it be good? Because everybody agrees. It's peace. Why wouldn't you want to have peace? Huh? All right, let's read.
And everyone should leave his law, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols.
So when it says all the heathen, we know that that's talking about all of the non-Israelites, all of the other nations. They agreed. Then it says in 43, yea, many also of the Israelites. Many also of the Israelites, which means a lot of Israelites, a lot of us. We know ourselves to be Israelites now, but a lot of our people today that look just like us, our family members, do they know that they're Israelites or do they call themselves Israelites? No. Right? Many Israelites consented. When it says consented, what did they do? They say we with it. That sound good. Consented to his religion. Religion is not what you believe, but it's what you practice. They say, okay, that's what we doing. All right, we going to do that. We going to live this way. We going to move this way. We going to celebrate these things. Read. And profane. And it did what? And did what? Go ahead.
And sacrifice unto idols.
And sacrifice unto idols.
And profane the Sabbath.
So we talked about all of these holidays that are actually idolatrous feast days. And they profane the Sabbath, which means they begin to do what? To not observe the Sabbath, to not honor the Sabbath, to not keep the Sabbath, but to defile the Sabbath. Read.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
That they should follow the strange laws of the land. Read.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
Whoa. So these were the stipulations. Forbid burnt offerings. What's an example of the burnt offerings that we were given back when? That we should be given again today, now that we know who we are and what it is that the Most High would have us to do. What are some of the examples of some of the burnt offerings? Passover is probably the number one burnt offering that off top. So they begin to forbid that we did what? That we kept the Passover, as well as all of the other feast days. Go ahead.
46, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
So now, it says forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice, because we were giving sacrifices at that time, what? For the atonement of our sins. So they put us in a space where we couldn't even get right with our God. And drink offerings in the temple, and they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, which means that they stopped keeping the feast days at that time. Then it says, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. So it wasn't just good enough to get us to stop doing certain things. They said, look, we want to, where's your place of worship where you guys supposedly go and cry out to the Most High? We want to pollute that place too. And we just want to pollute you all together as a people. You don't have to be holy. You can be hip. Why be holy? Be a Greek. Be like us. Do like we do. Then you could be my brother. So that's the thing about Esau. It's crazy. There was such a hatred in him, he couldn't wait to do what he did to us. Let me show you every day. I hate you, blacks and browns. That was the thing for a while, but that was only going to last for so long. So they said, okay, we got to get smart. What did our fathers do? How did they deal with the Israelites? Oh, brother. So now guess what? Our people fell right back into a slave state of mind when they started saying, oh, what's up, bro? Brother, we're one. We're Americans. We're this. And you fell right back into that same mindset. They caused you to live in ghettos because they created an environment and a climate that caused there to be such crime. It was perpetuated, stirred up. How many of you guys have stories about some of the things that police and white folks have done in your neighborhoods to cause things to be bad? When there were attempts of unity and truces and police would come in and y'all know, right? Now, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, now it's not working anymore. It's not working like it used to work, so what can we do now? Pull them in. Pull them in. What makes you happy? Because at the end of the day, it's like if you want this to make you happy, and that's nothing to me, these electronics, these iPhones, it's nothing to me. You want them, have them. What you want? Big screen TVs, have them. First, we vexed you and made, we got the big screen. Y'all don't. Now you can get them. You can get them for the low. Pretty much make those things accessible to you. You happy now. You happy for the next 100 years. You ain't trying to go nowhere. You got everything you want. And he cool with you. Esau cool with me too. It ain't no problems. It ain't no beef. But long as you keep celebrating Christmas, long as you keep doing all of the things to defile yourself and to defile your people, that's what we don't get. Read.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
Uh-huh.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols.
Altars, groves, and chapel of idols. You don't know how many altars, groves, and chapels that are around us. You would be in shock if you really understood how many different groves, chapels, and idols are already set up amongst us all throughout the hood, everywhere we go. Go ahead.
And sacrifice swine's flesh
Uh-huh.
and unclean beasts.
Swine's flesh and unclean beast. Read.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
Uh-huh.
And make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
So here's the thing. The circumcision was a token for what? You need what do you usually need a token? Because we identify certain words. Like as kids, we had tokens at Chuck E. Cheese. You needed a token to be able to do what? To have access to play the game. That token is access. It represents access, right? So circumcision is a token of what? The covenant, right? It gives us access to what? To being the chosen people, to being God's people, right? They wanted to change all of that. They wanted to deny us access, and we went for it. Think about that. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, right? Make us profane. Read.
To the end that they might forget the law.
Uh-huh.
And change all the ordinances.
Now that's it right there. To the end, because this was the objective. To the end that they might forget the law. The whole plan from the jump was, let's get them to forget the law and forget themselves. Change all the ordinances. All of the ordinances is all of the things that the Most High set up for the children of Israel. We want to change all of that. And that's the way that they've been able to rule, stay on top, because it's all predicated upon them reclassifying us, keeping us destroyed. Us not, because There's a different mindset that came along when you found out that you're an Israelite, that you're a Hebrew, that you're a Jew. To a point where in the beginning of this class, I asked you, and you were conflicted when I asked you were you an American. You were conflicted when I asked you were you a Christian. You're conflicted when I ask you, are you a human being? Because somebody played with you on the classifications of what those titles are and mean today. And that's how they've been able to continuously play on the minds of our people and get our people to do what? To deny our God and to not do the things that our God would have us to do. It's almost like one of the things that you have to understand, it's a trigger. Like when we were kids in school, they purposely, because there's history behind it, they would have the bell ring when it was time to transition from one class to the next. And it created a certain order and a certain behavior, a collective behavior. We have collective behaviors that we don't realize, that we refuse to acknowledge because we have so much pride in us. I'm me. I'm different. I'm smart. I ain't stupid. And you don't. This word is something else. Go to 2 Maccabees chapter 4. Now I don't need the rest of it. I just need it to 49. Absolutely, the illusion of inclusion. 2 Maccabees chapter 4, start at verse 7.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, and verse 7.
Yep.
But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom.
That's who Darius said, right? Antiochus called Epiphanes, called God manifested. This dude said, I'm God. There's still people doing that today that you celebrate. You call them celebrities that are doing that openly in they bars and all of that. Read.
It says, took the kingdom. Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest.
Who is Jason, though? Got to know who these people are. Jason was an Israelite, a wicked Israelite. But let's see how wicked he is. Let's see if this sounds wicked at first. Read.
Verse 8.
So it did say he labored underhand
to be
high priest, meaning he didn't do it the way that it was set up originally. He did it in a different way, right? Go ahead.
Verse 8. Promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver.
300, 3 scores what? 60. 360 talents of silver. And what else?
And of another revenue, 80 talents.
Go ahead.
Beside this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set him up a place.
So Jason was an entrepreneur. He said, look, because a lot of these companies, they want to know what you going to do for me? I'm going to make you money. I'm going to make y'all a gang of money. I got you. I can get this for you. Woo, 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 woo. Verse 9, besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise. Hold on. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to do what?
License to set him up a place for exercise.
Why a place for exercise? Of all of the things that he could have asked permission to do, and why would he want to set up a place of exercise? A gym? For what? Read.
And for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen.
And what?
And for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen.
So he wanted a place for exercise and a place for the training up of youth in what?
The fashions of the heathen.
In the fashions of the heathen. Fashions meaning what? Customs. Practices. Because when we think of fashion today, it's still fashion. What is fashion today? Is it just clothes? So when we talk about fashion, we think of clothes, but what about these clothes make them fashionable or different fashions? The way you wear them. You like them tight or do you like them loose? You like them skinny or you like them boxed and big and baggy? What are the trends now? What are the fashion trends now? Right. Fashion segues into a lot of other different things. You find fashion in everything. If you're watching basketball, the NBA, guess what? Fashion, right? I just seen recently, that brand Fear of God, right? They teamed up with the NBA. They got a partnership with the NBA. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead. Let's read.
Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen.
In the fashions, not just any fashion, but specifically in the fashion of who? The heathens, the other nations. The term heathen literally means he who is without God. Start dressing and assuming the identity and the look and the way of those that are without God. Read.
And to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians.
All right, no longer Jews and Israelites and Hebrews. We're going to call y'all Antiochians. Americans. Sound familiar? Okay, read.
Which, when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion.
He brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion. We're going to be like the Grecians. We're going to call ourselves Greeks. And it's crazy because today our people, when they think Greek, they think white folks. Unless they go to college and they pledge Greek and become Hellenized, then that's okay. But outside of that, Greek, that's white folks. But actually the term Greek was specific to Israelites who were Hellenized, meaning they were sometimes made and sometimes chose to start dressing and acting and being like white folks, the Grecians. And they became known as not Grecians, but Greeks. When you're in college, it's acceptable, right? And you get branded. But what people were being branded in times past? It was something that would happen to slaves. I'm branding you to let you know, just like they do cattle, you're my property. Mm-hmm. You belong, you're property of such and such, of this brotherhood, of this fraternity. Israel is supposed to be a brotherhood. The 12 tribes off top. It's 12 brothers. That's all I need. And I don't need that stamped on me because I got that in me. Why would somebody want to stamp their brotherhood on you? And whose brotherhood is this that nobody's thinking like that? Read.
Verse 11. And the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid, he took away. And putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law.
He brought up new customs against the law. Read.
For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself.
Whoa, okay. He said, I'm glad to do that. That's no problem. Let's build some places of exercise. So what was going on? Sometimes you'll read this and you kind of like, okay. So, okay, all right. But what was going on? Why? Why a place of exercise? Why? What was happening during this time? Let's read.
For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat.
Why the young men? Huh?
To influence other young men.
It says, and brought the chief young men. The chief ones are the bucks, the bucks, the strong ones, the ones that had influence, the ones. Yeah, he said, I don't just want anybody. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get this stud. Is that not still the same practices that are being practiced today? What do we got going on here? Keep going. Come on, let's read.
It says, and brought the chief young men under his subjection and made them wear a hat.
And made them wear a hat. Why a hat? We can go into the type of hat and all of that, but that's not really as important, I find that the scripture tells us, and it talks specifically in the New Testament, it gives us a little bit more insight. It says that the head of the man is who? Christ. And it said for the man to cover or uncover his head doing prayer and prophesy. Uncover. So the woman was told to do the opposite. To do what? Cover her head to show what? Show submission. To who? So what happens by the time I got this man, these young men, covering their heads for me? What is that a sign of? So they made the young men, the more prominent young men, the strong young men, the influential young men do what? Submit. Read.
Now such was the height of Greek fashions and increase of heathenish manners.
Heathenish manners. Remember, a heathen is what? Someone without God. Without God. Increase of heathenish manners through what?
Through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch and no high priest, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hasten to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise.
Why did the priests have no courage to serve anymore at the altar? No courage to serve probably wasn't just people stopped showing up. It probably was more so what?
The punishments.
If you were a priest, off top, the problem, Jason wasn't even, as far as I know, Jason wasn't even a Levite. Yeah. So if you were a priest, you automatically, first and foremost, were of what tribe?
Levi.
And even more so, as a priest, you knew within the tribe of Levi, you were of what lineage? Okay. So you knew who you were, and you knew all that your fathers told you and taught you about the Most High and how he didn't play. You heard about the stories of Phineas and so on and so forth. So you know that the Most High is not pleased with what y'all doing. That's why. That the priests had no courage to serve anymore at the altar, but what?
But despising the temple.
Despising the temple. Go ahead.
And neglecting the sacrifices.
Go ahead.
Hasten to be partakers of the unlawful allowance and the place of exercise. After the game of discus called them forth.
What's you ever seen discus being played? Right. So remember I told you RAW. RAW stands for what? Reclassify and weaponize. We talked about the reclassification, and then there's the weaponization. This is how they began to weaponize. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers.
Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but what?
But liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
Why is it? It's crazy because there's something more contextually that's happening right here that a lot of us don't get. We're going to talk about it. Here's the thing. Why is it when the holidays come, it's supposed to be peace on earth? Everybody's supposed to be cheery. Everybody's supposed to get along. Why? There's another time that happens to come about every so many years where all of a sudden everybody's supposed to get along. Let's go. Let's read.
Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all, by reason whereof sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers.
How Esau gonna be your enemy and your avenger? This your enemy, but you got Superman. All of these different American heroes that you got. Go ahead and read.
For they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose custom they followed so earnestly.
Earnestly. You follow the ways of being an American and a Christian. Earnestly. Read.
And unto whom they desired to be like in all things.
In all things. Want to be like them people. Want to live like them people. Want like them. Read.
It says, for it is not a light thing to do wickedly against the laws of God, but the time following shall declare these things.
But the time following shall declare these things. Read.
Now when the game that was used every 5th year.
Hold on. What are we talking about here? Go ahead.
Now the game that was used every 5th year was kept at Tyrus, the king being present. This ungracious Jason sent special messengers from Jerusalem who were Antiochians to carry.
Oh, who are the Antiochians? Read.
To carry 300 drachms of silver to the sacrifice of Hercules.
What is the sacrifice of Hercules? The Olympics. In Greek mythology, the first Olympic Games were held by Hercules to honor his father Zeus and involved sacrifices to the gods. See, most of us, man, unless you read, what was that, Percy? Any of y'all read the Percy books?
Percy Jackson.
They'll tell you, like in school, they'll tell you. But our people just, that's not important to us. I'm going to get to that in a second. As a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and say it. Where does the name Olympic come from? The Olympics. Huh? Mount Olympia. What is Mount Olympia? It's where who? Where who gods? The white folks' gods. The Greeks. That's where they gods did what?
That's where they dwell. That's their kingdom.
That's where they lived. According to the Greeks. The Olympian gods were a group of 12 gods and goddesses in Greek mythology who lived on Mount Olympus in Olympia. You didn't know that? During the Olympics, athletes made offerings to Zeus, Hermes, Hercules, or Apollo and prayed for victory. Ooh. You know where I'm going with this. So the games were held in Olympia, the most important sanctuary of Zeus. Hostilities were banned during the games to protect those traveling to and from Olympia. Guess who? Nike was the Greek goddess of victory and a resident of Mount Olympus. She was a close friend of Zeus and Athena and was often depicted as their divine charioteer. Edomites don't do anything coincidentally. Nothing coincidentally. It's all with purpose. Everything. Yeah. Even that god Nike, she was known, one of the things that she was known for were her gold sandals. So let's go back. Let's read. Let's continue to read. Maybe we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But it's something bigger right now that I want y'all to understand. Right. Go ahead. Let's read. Verse 19.
Verse 19. This ungracious Jason sent special messengers from Jerusalem, who were Antiochians, to carry 300 drachms of silver to the sacrifice of Hercules, which even the bearers thereof thought fit not to bestow upon the sacrifice, because it was not convenient, but to be reserved for other charges.
So they were talking about the Olympics, literally. Right? Go ahead.
This money then, in regard of the sender, was appointed to Hercules' sacrifice, but because of the bearers thereof, it was employed to the making of galleys. Now when Apollonius, the son of Menethus, was sent into Egypt for the coronation of King Ptolemy Philometor, Antiochus, understanding him not to be well affected to his affairs, provided for his own safety, whereupon he came to Joppa, and from thence to Jerusalem, where he was honorably received of Jason and of the city, and was brought in with torchlight.
With what?
Torchlight.
That sound familiar? Go ahead.
And with great shoutings.
And with great shoutings, go ahead.
And so afterward went with his host unto Phoenice.
Okay, and so afterward went with his host unto Phoenice. All right. Stay in second Maccabees, get chapter 6. I'll start at verse 1.
2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 1.
Yep.
Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews
to do what?
Sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews
to do what?
To depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God.
Y'all hearing this? Some of y'all know the story. You know who this man is, right? Mm-hmm. Who is it? Somebody said it.
Isaiah.
Yeah. You read further, it's Eliezer. But read verse 1 again. Listen to what is being said. Not long after this, go ahead.
Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens.
An old man of Athens. He was an Israelite that happened to live. He was a resident or a citizen of Athens. Read.
To compel the Jews.
To compel the Jews. Compel meaning what?
Persuade.
Persuade. Get the Jews to do what? Go ahead.
To depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God.
Because that was the agenda. Read.
And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem.
I want you to pollute the temple in Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius. And that
Wait, hold on. You can't go over that quick. Call the Most High's temple what?
The temple of Jupiter, Olympius.
Go ahead.
And that in Garizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place.
That's all I needed. Just to show you that I ain't just talking out the side of my neck to connect the dots. It's right in here for you. It's giving you everything you need. You can go back and backtrack, research it, and yeah, dude, it adds up. See, here's the thing. Go to Jeremiah chapter 23. Because guess what? The Olympics is coming where? To Los Angeles when? 2028. Have any of y'all taken a look at the initiatives? for the city to get ready for the 2028 Olympics? I think he spoke about it yesterday. The Smart LA initiative. They ready to give you what you want. They're ready to give you what you want. We'll talk more about it in days and Sabbaths to come, most high willing. Start at verse 16.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 23 and verse 16.
Yep.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart.
Hold on. That's a lot. Came out firing. Read it one more time, top of verse 16.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts,
Uh-huh.
hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you.
Don't listen to the prophets that's prophesying to y'all. That's what the Bible is saying. Why?
They make you vain.
They make you vain. What does it mean to be vain? If they make you vain, what does it mean? Remember we talked about classification, right? Classification is all about function, right? When you're classified as what? Some of y'all is crazy. I'm like, are you American? Oh, no. Are you a real nigga? I am. I'm that. Israel got all kind of classifications. Some of us proud. We proud to be Mexican and Jamaican and Belizean and you name it. We proud to be a lot of things, and we know how to function as those things, but we don't know how to function when it comes to being a Jew and an Israelite and a Hebrew. You tell me what your favorite team is, and you're a fan of them, and you all out. But you half step when it come down to being a Jew and an Israelite. What's your function? That's why they've been reclassifying you way before you came, and all your life you've been taught your reclassifications. And you're comfortable with those reclassifications because they've been consistent and you know the function of it. But what's the function of you being an Israelite and being a Jew and being a child of God? A real one, a law keeper. That's the problem, read.
They speak a vision of their own heart and not out of the mouth of the Lord.
They speak a vision of their own heart, meaning their own mind, and not out of the mouth of the Most High. How many silly, you fill in the blank. What word come to your mind? How many silly blanks have you met that try to come to you and give you their version of what the Most High is saying and what the Most High getting ready to do? How many? They more adamant about selling you on their words and what they say the Most High say than actually doing what the Most High says. You see, it's online. A lot of them are more adamant about telling you what you need to do than actually doing what they should be doing according to these scriptures themselves. Read.
They say still.
What they say?
They say still unto them that despise me.
They say still, meaning what? To those that despise the Most High, they say, it's all good. It's all good. We good. Everybody good here. Man, it's all good. It's all love. I mess with you and I mess with them. We good. How you messing with everybody and these niggas ain't God? Part of the game is that. Yeah, we all good. I mess with this side and that side. You know, we all good. I'm neutral. How many times have you heard that word, I'm neutral? When did this Bible teach being neutral? You got it. He said, I'd rather you be hot or cold, but if you lukewarm, I'm going to do what? He said, I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. when I want coffee, either I want it hot or cold. I don't want it lukewarm. Give it to me hot or give it to me cold. Give me that frap. That right, brew life. Or if I'm going to get the hot coffee, I want the hot coffee. But I don't want it lukewarm. Most High said I don't like people that try to play both sides of the fence. Transformers, all of the different names that you got. Most High don't honor that. Read. 17.
They say still unto them that despise me, the Lord hath said, ye shall have peace.
They say that the Lord say that you're going to have peace. They telling these people that go above and beyond to show their hate for the Most High and their disdain for the Most High. Oh, it's all love. It's all peace. Read.
And they say unto every one that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you.
So now you understand why we get on the Israelite community in the way that we do, because it's a lot of that in the Israelite community. Oh, I'm good with everybody. I'm good with them and y'all. We good. I'm good with everybody. I'm neutral. Nigga, you what? I'm neutral. But you a leader, right? You a teacher of this word, right? You a teacher of this law, right? I'm neutral. What? It's not what this Bible say. And mind you, it ain't easy. Because a lot of times you walk into a situation and you be like, oh, we good. Because I don't know nothing. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. It might be years down the line it begins to unfold. And now I find out like, oh, he ain't solid. Oh, they be sinning. Oh, they disrespecting the Most High. So now what you going to do in that moment when you finally find out? Man, but I've been knowing you for a long time. I was telling them I had known you forever. Like, so we good. We ain't good if you ain't good with the Most High. You got to choose a side. Y'all better listen to Yashimai album. You got to choose a side. Read.
For who hath stood in the counsel of the Lord, and hath perceived and heard his word?
Go ahead.
Who hath marked his words and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of the Lord is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked.
Go ahead.
The anger of the Lord shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly.
This is heavy right here. The anger of the Lord shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly. Read.
I have not sent these prophets.
He said, I haven't sent these prophets. I came for, man, we didn't have people come. I'm the such and such son of, man, you already know what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied.
Man, they doing the works. They hitting the streets. How many times have you heard that? They doing the works. They hitting it. Nigga, they righteous? Right. Are they keeping the law? They doing the work. They hitting the streets. I don't care. That don't make you good with the Most High because you doing the work. I'm hitting the streets. That ain't enough. If you never hit a street, it's okay as long as, because the scriptures say, keep them commandments. So you might not even know the most. You might know a little bit, but just keep them commandments. That's what you got to be focused on first. You got to put your life jacket on before you can help anybody else put their life jacket on. Read.
I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied.
Go ahead.
But if they had stood in my counsel.
If they had just listened to what this scripture's saying, somebody that actually is speaking and teaching what the Bible say, what God says, if they would have just listened. But we so quick, there's so many Israelites, you want to jump out and be super teacher tomorrow. Read.
But if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my word.
Just cause my people to hear my word. You ain't got to put all the extra 10 on the 2 and all of that and hype it up. Just cause them to hear my word. Read.
Then they should have turned them from their evil ways.
See, that's what y'all don't understand. Even like, here we go. It's about to be MLK Day, right? Most High said if he would have just told my people what this Bible said, then he would have turned, we would have been back. But what did he choose to do? And it's crazy because it ain't just about MLK. It's about what you see playing out before you right now. It's a culture on the internet with all of these super Hebrews. And the same mindset is being perpetuated throughout the Israelite community and throughout the earth that you got to be careful of. You're going to have to choose. You're going to have to make a choice. He said if these great leaders would have just said what was in this word. Read.
Verse 22, but if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my word, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doing.
Go ahead.
Am I a God at hand, saith the Lord?
What does he mean when he says, am I a God at hand? Yeah, am I just there when you need to mention my name? That's what you play me for? Yeah, genie. Am I your genie? Go ahead.
Am I a God at hand, saith the Lord, and not a God afar off?
Read.
Can any hide himself in secret places, that I shall not see him, saith the Lord? Do not I fill heaven and earth, saith the Lord? I have heard what the prophet said, that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed. I have dreamed.
I had a dream. You ever listen to that recently? Watch this. At the core of what was being said, because they weaponized his speech. They weaponized him and thus weaponized that speech and are using it even to this very day. And the core of that speech was what? It was American. It was Christian. It was humanity. He said, all of God's children, in quote, he said, the white kids, their children are God's children too. Is that what this Bible says? So it kind of gives you a little bit of context of how he must feel on a day like the day that's getting ready to happen. When everybody on that day, at the parade, hopefully they don't trip and niggas gonna start shooting. It's supposed to be pieces. It's gonna be peace in the hood. Do you see the trend? Do you see the trend? Verse 26.
How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of deceit of their own heart.
Deceit of their own heart, their own minds. This is what's coming out of your mind. Because this ain't what God said. God didn't say nothing about all of the nations, all of the children of the nations, all God's children, and they all going to come together, and we're going to be hand in hand, and we're going to be able, in that speech he said, we're going to be able to go to jail together. Why in the world do I want to go to jail in the first place? Let alone go to jail with white folks. What sense do that make? Read.
Which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams.
By their what?
By their dreams.
Dreams for sale. All of these are dreams. That's just one of the dreams that you're more familiar that it's a dream. But this is a dream that a lot of us have dreams that have spun off this initial dream that, you know, the great MLK, right? I had a dream. Go ahead.
Which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal.
He said they forgot my name for Baal, meaning what? They sitting up here celebrating Christmas. Now, what's crazy about that, when you go back and listen to that speech, guess what? Ain't not one time I heard him say, call on the name of Yahweh and the God of the Hebrews. I ain't hear none of that. So this on point. They tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. But he had a dream. Then had the nerve to prophesy in the dream, talking about this is what's going to happen, when that ain't what the Lord said was going to happen. The Bible says that Christ is coming back to do the opposite of integration. And peaceful integration at that. But Israel like to hear what? Prophesy unto me lies. Nigga, I don't even need it. It's cool. Go ahead, let's read down to verse 32. Verse 28.
Verse 28, the prophet that have dreams, Salaki, the prophet that hath a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that hath my word, let him speak my word faithfully.
You know what he's saying? You know what the Most High is saying? If you got dreams, it's cool. Have your dreams. Just make sure you let it be known that that's your dream. Your dream. And it's a dream. Do well in telling your dreams. Because, boy, how many Israelites have I came to me? Man, I had a dream, man. I'm telling you. God dealing with me differently. I'm telling you. Everything that you doing, that y'all doing, all right, but you need to drop that because this is what God told me. You feel me? What the Most High say again, so you know it ain't coming from Tazaiwan. Read.
Verse 28, the prophet that hath a dream, let him tell a dream.
Tell your dream. But make sure it's understood that that's your dream. Man, you know, what you think about this? That's a dream. Read.
The prophet that hath a dream, let him dream. And he that hath my word, let him speak my word.
Not he that hath a word. He that hath what?
He that hath my word.
You have the Most High's word. Let him speak my word, the Most High's word, what? Faithfully. You tell your dream, and then let's move on, and let's get back to what? Doing what the Most High say. Go ahead.
What is the chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord?
What is the chaff to the wheat, meaning what? He said the chaff they don't have nothing to do with the wheat. Like, don't get them. In other words, what is he saying? Don't get that mixed up. Quit trying to mix your dreams in with my word. How many people have told you dreams and they don't have nothing to do with, they don't coincide with the laws of this Bible at all? And you be like, what? And then because you cool with them, you be trying to save face, talking about, well, you know, God could. I know, you know. No, nigga, you crazy. Go ahead, let's read.
Is not my word like as fire, as a fire, saith the Lord, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. Therefore,
Hold on, cause everybody want his word to be kumbaya, my Lord. So they expect that, cause that's what they sell. That's what feel good. Oh, it give me this warm fuzzy feeling every time I hear Bishop Tazaiwan preach the word. It's so gentle, and no. He said it's going to be like fire and rocks getting broke. Read.
Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that steal my words.
Steal my words.
Everyone
They bootlegging the word of God, homie. Read.
everyone from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that use their tongues, and say, he saith.
The Most High said no. He said, no, I did not say that. Well, God said, well, no, God didn't say that. Yahweh didn't say that. Satan said what you saying. Read.
Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith the Lord.
False dreams. Read.
And do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies.
You see that? Very detailed. Because people have asked me that question on many different occasions. Well, what do you think about dreams? That's what the Bible says about dreams. Read.
And by their lightness, yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore, they shall not profit this people at all, saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord. Go from there. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 7. Boy, this Bible makes stuff clear. Take a sip of tequila after this lesson, huh?
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5 and verse 7. For in the multitude of dreams.
For the multitude of dreams. Because everybody got a dream. Man, I'm telling you, man, I had a dream. Go ahead.
For in the multitude of dreams and many words.
And many words, because, man, people like to tell you things.
There are also diverse vanities.
What does it mean, diverse vanities? Diverse means all types of, many different variations of, right? That's what diverse means. What are we talking about when we say vanities? It get even better than that, man, because a lot of y'all, you hear vanities, but it really don't compute. I'm going to tell you what vanity. Vanity, excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements. A lot of y'all is too into yourself. You give yourself too much credit. The quality of being worthless or futile. Dang, how are both of those the same word? Excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements. But it's also the quality of being worthless or futile. How can it be both? Let's get the thesaurus. How many of y'all ever use a thesaurus? How many of y'all own a thesaurus that's not digital? Okay. Conceit, conceitedness, self-conceit, narcissism, self-love, self-admiration, self-regard, self-absorption, self-obsession, self-centeredness, egotism, egoism, egocentrism, egomania, pride, haughtiness, arrogance, boastfulness, swagger, imperiousness, cockiness, pretension, affectation, airs, show, ostentation, vainglory, braggadocio. Help you out a little bit when it said diverse vanities. Did that help anybody? So he said, in the multitude of dreams and many words, there are also diverse vanities. Meaning what? People feel a sense of elevation when I be having dreams. The Most High be dealing with me. Is he dealing with you? He deal with me. I be having dreams. I be, Come on, man. I know somebody ain't going to be happy about this. They're going to feel the way they're going to feel, but I got to keep it real. I got to keep it real with you. But fear thou God. Most High something else. He said, yeah, it's going to be. But guess what? You need to fear me. Because they obviously don't fear me enough to think that I'm going to make them give answer for that. What? Now, what did you tell that? You said you had a dream about what? What did you say? Go from there. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, 34. 34, we're going to start at 1. Yep.
The book of Sirach, chapter 34, verse 1.
Yep.
The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false.
Hold on. The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false. You ever see them people and they got hopes and dreams? The hopes of a man, but it says, but he's void of understanding. You ever seen somebody and you like looking at them like there's no way, but you don't have the heart to tell them? Like it's not going to happen. You don't have the heart to tell. They like, man, I'm telling you, because blah, blah, blah. Man, it's going to happen. I promise I'm going to do. And you like, okay, for real? All right. The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false. And what else?
And Salakia, and dreams lift up fools.
And dreams lift up fools. Dreams lift up fools. Dreams lift up fools. This is one thing that I've learned in these 44 years that I've lived on this earth. And it might not mean a lot to y'all, but I learned it. If I got something that people want, then they'll buy it. That means I can sell it. I learned that. How many of y'all learned that lesson? Some of y'all don't know that lesson yet. How many of y'all know that? Some of y'all, it didn't take as long. I'm not saying I just learned it at 44, but I learned that along the way. If you got something that people want, they'll buy it. I had a dream. We all gonna be having mansions and amongst each other. Black kids and white kids. It's easy to sell that to somebody that's getting whooped on by the other. That's an easy sell. That's why people feel away. I remember we was on the streets and I messed around and said something about Martin Luther King, and what happened? What happened? Jake was about 6'5", 6'6", got ticked off at me. You don't mess with this, man. It's all we got. Man, I had to learn. They can tell you some of them was out there in the streets with me. I don't think I was a punk. I was ready to, for whatever it was, whether I got some good licks in or got my butt whooped. It was. But here's the thing. I had to learn, because even though I was in my 30s, there were still things that I was learning about dealing with people and about wisdom. Because we don't go out there to try to agitate people purposely, right? But all of that to say, this ideal, this imagination is something that a lot of people hold dear. Because they feel like they don't have anything else. If I ain't got nothing else, man, let me just have peace. That's why they fight so hard for Christmas, and they fight so hard for MLK, and they fight so hard for these things. All right. Go ahead, let's read.
Verse 2. Whoso regardeth dreams is like him that catcheth at a shadow and followeth after the wind.
How easy is it to catch a shadow? And how easy is it to keep up with the wind? He said, the people that regard dreams is you like that. How many of y'all have ever caught a shadow in your hands? How many of y'all have ever been able to follow the winds all the way back to the continent of Africa without delay? Read.
The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another, even as the likeness of a face to a face.
The vision of dreams is this resemblance of one thing to another, even as the likeness of a face to a face. Read.
Of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed?
So the Bible is trying to tell you something. You're like, well, what does that mean in verse 3? Then it gets to verse 4. It says, of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed? Of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed? There's another scripture that talks about dreams come out, manifest out of the multitude of business. Things that you encounter and things that you think about, and before you know it, you be dreaming about those people and those things, right? A lot of times, right? So when it says the dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another, meaning these are things that you've seen before. You often don't dream about things and people that you've never seen, right? But it says of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed? Go ahead.
And from that thing which is false, what truth can come?
What truth can come from something that's false? So in other words, you ought to be able to look at your dreams and say, oh, this don't line up with the Most High's word, so I'm not even going to take that even further. That makes sense? Go ahead. Verse 5.
Verse 5. Divinations and soothsayings and dreams.
So it's coupled with divinations and soothsaying. Let me tell you, you know, your future and all of that. He said, well, what's the difference? What's the difference? Read.
Divination and soothsaying and dreams are vain, and the heart fancieth as a woman's heart in travail. And the heart fancieth
As a woman's heart in travail. A woman, when she going through labor, her heart, meaning her mind, what? You're not the most rational at that time. That's one of the reasons why. How many of y'all have experienced that? You've been in the hospitals having them children, and they know that you're vulnerable. So they try to push things upon you during that time when you going through them labor pains, and you like, okay, whatever, just whatever, just give me a moment. Come here. Go ahead.
If they be not sent from the Most High in thy visitation.
And it's simple. Verse 6. If they be not sent from the Most High in thy visitation, do what?
Set not thy heart upon them.
Don't set your heart, meaning your mind, upon them. It don't mean anything. If it ain't coming from the Most High, it doesn't mean anything. Let it go. Read.
For dreams have deceived many.
Dreams have deceived many. Nah, because if I dream something, I just know it's going to come true. Dreams have deceived many. Read.
For dreams have deceived many, and they have failed that put their trust in them.
Plain and simple. So if it ain't sent from the Most High, let it go. Because many people are deceived by dreams. But it's crazy. Dreams don't just happen. What's crazy is this. Dreams are sold to those that sleep. Dreams are sold to those that are asleep. You can be physically awake and still sleep. And people cast their dreams and ideas and allow you to put you in a space where you can dream. They tell our kids to dream more than they tell our kids to do anything else. Dream. Don't let anybody take your dreams away from you. If nothing else, you have dreams. No, what's your purpose? As an Israelite, no, don't follow the Most High. Don't follow your dreams. You have a people that has to make their way back home. You need to figure out what it is that you need to do to help to facilitate your people going back home and getting back right with the Most High. And there is no dream that you can dream that's more important than that. They're destroying our people with these dreams. Hence, dreams for sale. Now, it's probably the last thing that I'm going to have time. It's fine. Go to 2 Maccabees chapter 15. 2 Maccabees chapter 15. Second Maccabees 15, start at verse 1.
2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 1.
Yes, sir.
But Nicanor,
You ever heard of him? Nicanor. Was this an Israelite? Edomite. But Nicanor, read.
hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any danger to set upon them on the Sabbath day.
Okay. Nicanor, hearing that who? Judas Maccabeus and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any danger to do what?
To set upon them on the Sabbath day.
What? Nicanor was like, let's get him. It's the Sabbath day. It's perfect time. Let's get him. A lot of y'all be fascinated with the wars amongst the gangs and all this hood, that hood, Chicago, all of that. But you can read about righteousness and wickedness right here in this Bible and see how they mounted up. Verse 2.
Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, Oh, destroy not so cruelly and barbarously. But
so hold on. These are Jews that were compelled to go with who? With Nicanor. So all of this stuff that a lot of people, oh no, man, all Israel, we supposed to all get along. In what world? When has that ever happened in history besides when we were in the land and we had a strong king who was intent upon being righteous? And they were willing to put wicked individuals to death to maintain righteousness in the land. Outside of that, that wasn't the norm. That wasn't, anytime we weren't in our kingdom and did not have righteous leadership, there were ops. There were Israelites that were ready to go with the heathen to ride on other Israelites. But even them, they understood at that time, we're in a whole different time now. It's sad because a lot of our people now, they don't fear the Most High at all. They still had some type of fear. They said, nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, go ahead.
Oh, destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days.
So you understand what's going on right now, right? They was like, please, just not on the Sabbath. We'll go and ride with you on any other day, but let's not do this on the Sabbath. Most High ain't gonna he ain't gonna take kindly to that. They was recognizing that, and you have to see how messed up they were in the head still, though. Even with that, like, we gonna go ride on Israel, like,
As if God ain't tripping off of that part, but not the Sabbath day.
but they, yeah. Let's read.
Verse 3. Then the most ungracious wretch demanded.
The most ungracious, gracious wretch is talking about Nicanor. Go ahead.
Demanded if there were a mighty one in heaven then the most ungracious wretch demanded if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath day to be kept. And when they said
when it says he demanded if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath day to be kept, what was he saying? There is no God. If there really was a God. So in other words, he's saying it ain't no God. Y'all sitting up here scared and tripping. You with me. You with the king. Talking about God. Who? Yahweh who? That's what he was saying. Read.
Verse 4. And when they said, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty.
And they came back and said, look, man, Nicanor, we with you now. But know this. There is a mighty one in heaven. There is a living Lord. Go ahead.
And mighty, who commanded the seventh day to be kept.
And he commands that the seventh day be kept. Don't get it twisted. Read.
Then said the other, and I also am mighty upon earth, and I command to take arms and to do the king's business.
I command that we do this. I'm with the king. Somebody was bold enough to say that. King is greater than God. Ain't no God. We gonna, fear who? We don't fear nobody. Read.
Yet he obtained not to have his wicked will done. So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him. But Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty.
So you hear this? Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them. Exhortation. What does exhortation look like? He encouraged them. He began to lift them up in their spirits and say, man, Most High got us, man. What you tripping off of? Like, Most High ain't gonna let us die. Most High with us. Because a lot of us today, we don't realize how much we need. That's one of the biggest reasons why you need to be at every Sabbath. It ain't so you can learn something that you never learned. Like, sometimes you're going to learn things that you hadn't learned. But you need the exhortation more than anything else. You need to be lifted up in your spirits. Like, we got to do this. This is what we doing. Most High know you need that more than what you realize that you know that you need that. And you really don't feel like you need it as much now because you're living in the matrix. But the time is coming where it's going to be war again. He said, you gotta get your mind right. You gotta, because if you don't get your mind right, remember what we read in the other part of the Maccabees where it says to the end that they should forget. They understood that if we don't do these things as Israelites and operate as Israelites, we'll forget who we were. And that's what we did. We forget who we are. I see Israelites that do the same thing. I know people, man, yeah, they in the truth. See them some years later, ain't no friend. Like, damn, what happened? They start forgetting who they are. Their kids forget. Like, it happens. Read.
Verse 9. And so comforting them out of the law and the prophets.
So says he was exhorting them and he was comforting them out of the law and the prophets, meaning what we call the Old Testament, right? Read.
And withal, putting them in mind of the battles that they won afore, he made them more cheerful.
So he was like, man, we remember, man, we the same people and we serve the same God. Man, y'all remember Gideon? Man, you remember Moses? You remember Abraham? Man, you remember? And he calling them, you remember King David? Oh, they getting hyped up. Man, King, man, that's that same DNA running through. Man, they getting hyped up. But it wasn't on his own time, on some other stuff. It says comforting them out of the law and the prophets, and withal putting them in mind of the battles that they won afore. He made them more cheerful. Read.
And when he had stirred up their minds, he gave them charge, showing them therewithal the falsehood of the heathen and the breach of oaths.
He said, man, these heathens, man, they word don't even mean nothing to each other. But look at the word of the Most High. Look what the Most High said he was going to do for us. They was like, yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with defense of shields and spears.
That's heavy right there. He armed every one of them. Not armed with weapons. They had weapons too, but not every one of them. Like he said, the weapons ain't the thing that's going to cause us to win this. What he armed them with? Read.
Not so much with defense of shields and spears, as with comfortable and good words.
He said comfortable and good words. Them words can activate a people. That's what your enemies know, and that's why they activate the American and the Christian in you when you hear that Dr. King speech. I had a dream. You hear certain things, it's just like that music in the bootleg church, and you hear that. Boy, it activates something. Just like you get in the club and they play that doom, doom, doom. It activates something. You know, hold up. It activates something. Your enemies know that, but we got to know that. Go ahead.
Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with defense of shields and spears, as with comfortable and good words. And beside that, he told them a dream.
A what?
He told them a dream.
Dreams ain't always bad. He told them a dream what?
Worthy to be believed.
Worthy to be. Hold on. A dream worthy to be believed? That means what? It wasn't necessarily true? What? What is this? What are we reading? Zion, what are you talking about? Where are you going with this? A dream worthy to be believed. Go ahead.
As if it had been so indeed.
Uh-huh. As if it had been so indeed. Go ahead.
Which did not a little rejoice them.
Uh-huh.
And this was
when he said which did not a little rejoice them, meaning it wasn't like, oh, they was like, oh, cool. It had them on fire. Ooh. It had them ready. Read.
And this was his vision, that Onias, who had been high priest, a virtuous and a good man, reverent in conversation, gentle in condition, well-spoken also, and exercised from a child in all points of virtue, holding up his hands, prayed for the whole body of the Jews. This done, in like manner, there appeared a man with gray hairs, and exceeding glorious, who was of a wonderful and excellent majesty.
This is what he's telling me. He's telling me a story about somebody for real. But this didn't necessarily happen. But this was a real person. And he's telling them, yeah, he set up. And y'all know Onias, right? Yeah. He sent up the prayers to the Most High. Read.
Then Onias answered, saying, this is a lover of the brethren, who prayeth much for the people and for the holy city, to wit, Jeremiah the prophet of God. Then
they brought Jeremiah the prophet in, and then Jeremiah showed up. What? Go ahead.
Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold.
He gave Judas, and he gave me the sword. See, man, I love this Bible, man. I love this Bible. This Bible puts things in proper context. Now, is he sitting up here prophesying to these people, telling them something outside of what the Most High says is going to happen in the future? He's not doing that. But in this time, as they're getting ready to go to war, what is he doing? What's the function? And was it wrong? Read.
Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold, and in giving it spake thus, take this holy sword, a gift from God, with the which thou shalt wound the adversaries.
So now here's the thing. Ain't nobody had no swords of gold. It was because gold is a soft metal. You fight with a gold sword, you probably gonna get your butt whooped. But Israelite shiny things, they like gold. Man, the sword was all gold? No! Give me a gold sword. Oh, man, nigga, all gold. He know what you like. He know what you like. But see that I'm telling you this too for y'all to understand that your enemy has had a long time to know what you like. That's why you be so conflicted. You got to make sure you choose the right thing. Choose the Most High in your people every time. Because your enemy know you. Read.
Verse 16, take this holy sword, a gift from God, with the which thou shalt wound the adversaries. Thus, being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good and able to stir them up to valor and to encourage the hearts of the young men, they determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them, and manfully to try the matter by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger.
Good.
For the care that they took for their wives and their children, their brethren and kinsfolk, was in least account with them, but the greatest and principal fear was for the holy temple. It
was like, man, we definitely care about our families, our women, our children, but this is the temple of the Most High. We got to die for this. We're going to die for this. We ready. Be doggone if we continue to let these heathens disrespect the Most High's temple. Read.
Also they that were in the city took not the least care, being troubled for the conflict abroad. And now, when as all looked what should be the trial, and the enemies were already come near, and the army was set in array, and the beasts conveniently placed, and the horsemen set in wings, Maccabeus seeing the coming of the multitude, and the diverse preparations of armor, and the fierceness of the beast, stretched out his hand toward heaven, and called upon the Lord that worketh wonders, knowing that victory cometh not by arms, but even as it seemeth good to him, he giveth it to such as are worthy. Therefore, in his prayer, he said after this manner.
Man, that's heavy right there. He dramatic reached out. Most High, he gonna give the victory to those that are worthy. Are those heathens worthy? No, the heathens ain't worthy. Do they love God? Do they keep the command? But do we? They was hyped up. Read.
Therefore, in his prayer, he said after this manner, O Lord, thou didst send thine angel in the time of Hezekiah, king of Judah, and didst slay in the host of Sennacherib 185,000.
185,000. Read.
Wherefore now also, O Lord of heaven, send a good angel before us for a fear and dread unto them.
He says, send a good angel. Man, we don't have to fight fair. We got the Most High. He said, send an angel. And this is something that happened in our history. He said, Most High, you telling me he can't send an angel before us? He did it before. 185,000. Read.
And through the might of thine arm, let those be stricken with terror that come against thy holy people to blaspheme. And he ended thus.
Yeah, he said, that's enough for the prayer. Read.
Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs.
So they could see Israel wasn't the only nation. Like other nations knew. They was playing their music. Or that same music that gets you hyped up, that make you feel. That's just like, don't that? Raise your hand up in here if you didn't heard that song and it hype you up. His whole get up in the beginning of the albums, it sets you up and gets you hyped up. Then he hit you from the I'm a martyr to the SOJ. Sick of these jakes. By that time you hype, you ready. Oh, where they at? Heathens, they understood this. So he said, how we gonna one up them? Because Israel, we always got the best music, but on this one, he said, I'm gonna throw an audible. This is what we gonna do. Read.
But Judas and his company encountered the enemies with invocation and prayer.
What's invocation? He invoked the spirit of the Most High and the angels. Next level. Read.
So that fighting with their hands and praying unto God with their hearts, they slew no less than 35,000 men. For through the appearance of God, they were greatly cheered. Now when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness.
Yeah, I killed Nicanor. He right over there. Let's see what happened after this. Now remember what, because Israel like to forget real quick. Oh, he dead now, man. Just let him, he dead. Let's see what happened. Read.
Then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language. And Judas, who was ever the chief defender of the citizens, both in body and mind.
He was ready to get it in with these, but he wasn't just ready to get it in with these. He knew how to use this. He knew how to activate the people. Go ahead.
And who continued his love toward his countrymen all his life, commanded to strike off Nicanor's head.
All his life, he showed his love for the countrymen. They love Judas. They like, man, I'll die for Judas. Because they say, I know that Judas will die for me. Read.
To strike off Nicanor's head and his hand with his shoulder.
See, I don't just want his hand. I want the whole arm. Cut it from the shoulder. Give me that head. Give me that arm. Read.
And bring them to Jerusalem. So when he was there and had called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar, he sent for them that were of the tower and showed them vile Nicanor's head and the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud.
Here go his head. Here go that arm. Remember he was doing all of that? He's lifting that head above us, talking about our God wasn't nothing. Here you go. Read.
And showed them vile Nicanor's head and the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty.
Look, listen, man, it's a different mindset. By the time you done went to war, you're in a different mindset. We don't know it because we like, well, I ain't never been through nothing like that. By the time somebody setting to kill your loved ones and you got to fight for your whole nation and then you end up being victorious in battle, the Most High show you that he with you. A lot of us in the state of mind that we in right now, if somebody cut a head, we couldn't even bring ourselves to probably cut a head and an arm off, let alone pick it up after somebody cut it off and travel a ways with this dude's head and his arm and be like, here you go. Different mindset, though. We getting there. Go ahead.
Verse 33. And when he cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor.
He said, come on, Judas, he already dead, bro. You already got his head cut off and his arm. You gonna cut? Well, man, that's too much, bro. It's too much, bro. That's just too much. How many of y'all can hear Israel's? That's just too much. You know some Israelites that tell you, man, you better get ready to change. Read.
And when he had cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls and hang up the reward of his madness before the temple. So every man prays toward the heaven.
He commanded that. He said, this is what we doing. It's not up for discussion. Read.
So every man prays toward the heaven, the glorious Lord, saying, blessed be he that hath kept his own place undefiled. He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of the Lord. And they ordained all with a common decree, in no case to let that day pass without solemnity, but to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month.
Which is coming up.
Which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, the day before Mordecai's day.
The day before who? So we got another Israelite by the name of Mordecai. He got his own day. 2 days, actually. It's crazy because you're always hearing Esther, and Purim, but he said, this is Mordecai's day. Mm-hmm. That's what we're supposed to be celebrating. So, yeah, the world getting ready to celebrate MLK. It's cool. Let them do what they do. But you teach your kids and you understand what we celebrate and what we getting ready to do and why we do what we do. Because the dream of Dr. King was totally different than the dream that Judas had. The Most High don't like it when somebody say, this is thus saith the Lord. Nah, he said, I ain't say that. I ain't say that. Turn down for what? Read. We almost done. It's the last verse, 37.
Thus went it with Nicanor, and from that time forth the Hebrews had the city in their power, and here will I make an end.
That's all we need. So all of that to say this, all praise be to the Heavenly Father. Be careful, man. Stop letting people sell you dreams, and stop letting people convince you to be a dreamer and dream things that are not of the Most High. What's in this book is the best thing for us off top. There's things that you haven't read yet that's far beyond your wildest imaginations that empower you in such ways that you never thought you could even be empowered. This book talks about you having things that you never thought you even deserved or ever could have. This right here is time to tap in, man. All praise be to the Heavenly Father.